So right here we've got Pro Bike Check with Grant Ferguson and his American Eagle full carbon race bike. At the heart of Grant Ferguson's bike is this American Eagle full carbon race frame. It's a size large, and up front it's got quite a short head tube to keep the front end low. It's got full internal cable routing. The bottom bracket unit holds a press fit bottom bracket, and it's quite a big unit down here, and that keeps it nice and stiff for pedalling. The seat tube is 27.2, which helps have an element of flex and comfort. You notice out back the seat stays are quite slender, that's to give the bike an element of comfort. The brake caliper itself is mated to the chainstays, which are a lot more burly for braking. The bike itself weighs 22.1 pounds or 10.1 kilos. So up front it's got a Ritchey Carbon Fiber setup. The bar itself is 675mm wide, it's a completely flat bar. The stem is 110mm long and it's got 17.5 degree angle. He's running that inverted to keep it as low as possible. He's got one small spacer underneath here. He's also got a computer mount, which we'll ask him about, see what he runs. So notice he's got a power meter set up, which we're going to see in a second. Like a lot of cross-country riders, Grant's not running a lock-on grip. This is mainly due to the fact the grip can be more forgiving and comfortable for the hands. You also notice he's running his brake levers quite far down. These are Magura MT8s and it's a Raceline edition. I'm also curious to ask him about that because that's quite an aggressive position to have your arms in. And so the Magura brake caliper itself is fluoro yellow, which has always been a characteristic colour of Magura Raceline products. And that's mounted onto this DT Swiss fork. So Grant has this set up with 100mm travel, and this is the gold edition carbon fibre crown on here. Pretty trick. We're going to find out a little bit more about how he runs the suspension when we chat to him. So Grant's American Eagle is running on a pair of carbon fibre DT Swiss XRC1200 wheels. Now these wheels are not only super light, but he's running them tubeless. And they've got these really nice fine bladed spokes and a super light 100mm front hub here. The hub itself uses a centre lock, as all do DT Swiss hubs, rather than having a 6-bolt system to mount on the rotor. And the tyres are CST Jackrabbits. Now these tyres are really low profile, so I'm quite surprised that Grant's running them on a course as aggressive as this. So keen to find out about that. So something I noticed in particular with Grant's bike is he's running quite a hash of components on here. A lot of the pro riders tend to run a full Shimano transmission or a full SRAM transmission. So starting up front here with the cranks, he's running a pair of rotor cranks which are compatible with a power meter. They've got a 34-tooth chainring, and that's quite a big chainring to be running on a course like this. And he's also got a really nice little C-Tech chain guide here, just as a little helping hand to make sure the chain stays on. The chain itself is a KMC. It's a gold one to match in with the fork. Nice bit of colour coordination there, into that. And out back, unusually, he's running 11-speed SRAM XX1. Now I know how fit Grant is, so I'm assuming this might be to do with the fact he doesn't need to be running 12-speed, but it's also the lightest transmission you can get. So let's find out a bit more. Okay, so firstly, I just want to know a few things about how you run your bike. The thing that stood out to me most is your brake lever angle is quite extreme.
Yep.
I tend to run mine a bit higher than that.
Yeah.
So is there a reason for that?
Not necessarily. I mean, I've just had it like that since for quite a few years, but kind of find myself in that position when I'm standing up that if I'm needing the brakes, I'm a bit over the front and I'm not really sometimes not in such an aggressive position. So I've just got used to that, but a few people have said that recently, so maybe I'll be looking into that a bit, yeah.
Okay, and what about stuff like suspension setup? So you've obviously got the lockout lever on the bars here.
Yep.
Do you tend to run it nice and soft and supple and then lock it out? Or
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, it's got two settings. It's got like a middle ground and then an on sort of thing. So it's like most of the time I'm running it off on the track, but across some of this bumpy grass fields I run it in the middle setting, and then obviously in the tarmac bits I'll lock it up. I use it quite a lot.
Sure.
And yeah, I think it's quite good when you're climbing and stuff. It doesn't move as much, makes the bike a bit stiffer. So.
Sure, yeah. I guess that's the whole emphasis on the bike, is about being efficient and covering ground.
Yep.
So your tyres, I notice, are very low profile.
Yep. Quite
quite big volume.
Yep.
Do you tend to change your tyres around to suit different weather conditions?
Yeah. I mean, we've done some practice today on this track, and we rode a fast rolling tyre because it's drying out. But if it rains, you're putting muds on and to try and find some grip. But the more volume does help make the bike feel a bit more comfortable across some of the bumps as well.
Sure. And then another thing I really notice is your transmission is quite varied here. You've got like the rotor cranks, which are power meter crank.
Power meter cranks, yeah.
So I'm guessing you're running some kind of computer up front here to monitor your...
Yeah, I've got a polar up the front there to tell me what's happening.
And you've got a 34 on the front, which I noticed was quite Quite a large chainring actually.
Yeah, it is, yeah. I mean, quite a few people, because there's a lot of range at the back, a lot of people are running bigger chainrings at the front sometimes, but I'll be changing it for a 32 for this track. But on some of the flatter tracks you'll get away with 34 and potentially a 36 if you're racing on a real flat track. But yeah, there is a mix of, it's just the sponsors on the team, so we've got a KMC chain, running some SRAM components and rotor, so it's a bit of a mixed match.
Also, can't help but notice you've got a XX1 super lightweight but 11 speed, rather than the 12, which a lot of people are opting for.
Yeah, I think to be honest that's just the sponsor. I've not tried out the 12 speed, so I can't comment too much, but I've got on along well with the 11 speed XX1, and it's a light race setup, which is nice.
Okay, and finally, come back to seat post really. I know that you're quite an aggressive rider, and I know that sometimes you do run and drop a post.
Yeah.
So how do you vary between the courses?
I think we don't currently have an option. I've got one on some other bikes that I play around with, but a lot of the boys are running short drop or posts on some of the steep technical tracks, which is giving them a bit more room around the get off the back and move the weight around and stuff. But we're currently running this, and I've ridden this the last few years, so it's kind of, I know it, but
you've dialed in.
I might look to it in the future, that's for sure.
Great. Don't forget to subscribe, click right here.
And if you want to find out how to make a training plan of any last, click here.
And for a pro bike check with Jenny Risved, right down here.
And don't forget to give us a like if you like my bike.